Welcome back to the Real Quick with Mike Swick podcast. Today we have King Mo, a veteran of many fights, a guy that I used to train with at AKA. We trained together he was at AKA for around 2 to 3 years, but I was in and out building a gym in Thailand. But just a fantastic guy, super nice, super humble. Over 40 MMA fights. He was the Strikeforce light heavyweight champion. He was the Ryzen World Heavyweight Grand Prix champion, and he's not even a heavyweight. Many fights. Now he's doing pro wrestling. He's training people. He's at ATT, American Top Team, another fantastic gym. So it's great to be able to catch up to him and finally get him on the podcast. So let's get started. All right, Mo, welcome to the show, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
It's been a while since we talked.
I know. Since AKA. Actually, nah. Well, since Japan, but before then, AKA.
So, Jesus, Japan. That was
good thing, man.
That was 2016, yeah?
Yeah, I fought Crow Cop.
Yeah, you took that fight on short notice, didn't you?
Yeah, Crow Cop was a big dude, man. Strong, had some power, but it was fun. I thought I was going to beat him, but I came up short. But I had fun, though.
Yeah, no, it was good. And man, you seem to always just take fights. You don't care. Like, you're the guy that'll take any fight as long as you can walk to the octagon.
Yeah, like that's how it was. I just fought because it was fun. It was a good payday. But the worst thing was the injuries because I fought with so many injuries. That was the worst thing. But other than that, I had fun, man. I was living the dream, doing what I wanted to do, and I was getting paid for it.
Yeah, and I know when you were at AKA, you were injured a lot. So you were at AKA 2000, what was it, 10 and 11, around that time frame?
Yeah.
So you were at AKA then, and then I know you were injured a lot, and I think you had 2 fights with us or something in 3 years. I think you fought Roger Gracie, Roger Gracie, and then you fought a kickboxer, but you were injured, and I remember talking to you, and I was just like, man, I don't know what injury you had. I know you had staph at one point, but I know whatever injury you had, it was one of those things where it's you shouldn't be walking, but you were training, and then you were fighting too, and I was just thinking to myself, how are you doing this, man? How are you? And then since that point, you've just continued to fight from that point on and do pro wrestling and stuff. And it's just wow, man. What was that? What was plaguing you for those 3 years?
My knee. I had ACL surgeries and an infection, staph infection, and my right hip. I was bone on bone.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I ended up getting 3 years ago a minor hip replacement on my right hip.
Oh. So you're better now, though.
So, yeah, I'm better. I'm way better now because I can walk normal. There's no limping, no aches and pains. I'm feeling good finally.
Yeah, and I know you're retired. Are you 100% retired, for sure, or is it there may be some fight you go back to?
The only way I fight is if it's an imaginary fight that I can pick the opponent and I can win. Other than that, I'm out the game.
Yeah,
I want to feel good. I want to have my bearings with me. It's time for the new crop to come up and rise. Yeah. I'm just helping them grow.
Yeah, and you talk about living your dream. You were living your dream and having fun. I mean, you had a lot of fights. I mean, you've had 40 something pro fights, something like that. Did you get everything out of MMA that you wanted? I mean, I know you started out as wrestling and you got into MMA, but you said you were living your dream, having a fun time. Are you satisfied with what happened with your career? And did you get all the stuff out that you wanted as far as living your dream and having fun?
Yeah, because the thing is, all you can do is just go out there and do what you can do.
Right.
And that's what I did. I went out there, trained, fought, dealt with injuries. I had a full career. Only thing I never had was a submission win. That's about it.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? But other than that, I never had one.
And all those fights.
It was, you know what? All them fights, I just like to punch.
Yeah.
Grounded pound, Mark Coleman.
Yeah,
Shout out
dude.
to Mark Coleman.
That's funny. I didn't know that. I didn't know you didn't have a submission win, but you have obviously a lot of wins, but I guess no submission win.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then obviously I know where you're at now. We'll get to that. But going back real fast, I remember when we trained together, I was kind of slowly making my way out of the gym, coming to Thailand to build a gym and all that. But Hav told me something that always stuck with me, and I wanted to ask you about because he's obviously such a big deal right now in the sport. Did you not bring Khabib to AK in the first place?
I did.
Yeah, tell me that story, man.
Yeah,
Like, I never asked, and I knew I've always said you brought him to AKA, and I've never known how Khabib got to AKA, and now I know it's from you. So, like, tell me that story. How did that all happen?
well, what happened was I remember the UFC, I believe in Atlantic City or somewhere, Khabib was fighting Kamal Sharus. I'm familiar with Dagestan, Vladikavkaz, and all the other places in the Caucasus Mountains of Russia, because I've been there plenty of times. Competed there with Daniel and other people from Team USA.
Yeah.
And I saw his last name, and I was like, he's from Dagestan. Prior to that, on MMA Junkie, I told them, I was like, hey, the next wave of fighters will either be from Cuba or Dagestan. And they're like, Dagestan, where's that? And I'm like, it's in Russia. So it's like Sparta. I was like, all they do is fight, wrestle, kickbox, something with combat. And they didn't believe me. Well, Khabib pops up, beats Kamal Sharus. I knew his coach at that time, Murad. So when I seen him in Strikeforce, I said, Murad, tell Khabib he's to come to AKA. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, he's to come to AKA, man. We have a lot of people there. I dropped all the names of you, Fitch, Thompson, everybody. Yeah. Tomas. I was like, we have everybody there. He's like, oh, really? Well, we're doing pretty good, but we'll take your offer up later. Well, guess what happens? The next fight, he's to fight Gleason Tebow. So they're panicking. They're like, Mo, we don't have enough money to give him the AKA right now, but what should we do? So I was like, you know what? Y'all should just fight him hard and try to get him tired, because he's a big 155-pounder. Try to get him tired because he will fatigue. That's what I said. This was years ago. And that's what happened. It was a close fight. And after that fight, I think Khabib went by split decision. It was close. After that fight, Khabib came to AKA, and the rest is history.
That's crazy, man. I never knew that. I always knew, I found out obviously that you had a part of it, but I never knew how he kind of showed up there. Like he came sort of late in my career, where I was kind of like, spending most of my time in Thailand. So I obviously trained with him when I was in town, and he was there. And, people just show up in gyms, and then they start training. Like Kane showed up one day, and then next thing you know, he's like on the team and then and training and fighting and doing good. So like I never knew kind of what brought him to AK, and I think probably a lot of people didn't know. So it's interesting to note that you did that, man. And then I think that changed his life for whatever reason. He everything happened for a reason, and he's doing quite well for himself right now.
Yeah, he didn't change his life, but I feel like he might have changed AKA culture a little bit by being there, bringing more people in from his homeland. So he might change a little bit of AKA culture.
Yeah,
as well. They both had a good hand in helping each other out.
I don't know where he was training at the time, but I think from what it seemed like, he needed that super gym, and like ATT, AKA, obviously Jackson, Militich in the old days, those are the super gyms. Like he needed one of those gyms to go to, that brotherhood and that old style of like we all have still, all of our ATT with you now and AKA and the old Militich back in the old days and Jackson now. Like there's like it's a big group of fighters. The iron sharpens iron. Obviously, we know that. And then that camaraderie and that family atmosphere. I think that's what really just why he liked it so much and fit in so well.
Yeah. His first team he was at was K Dojo. It's there. I believe they're out in New Jersey. A bunch of Russians, good grapplers, a bunch of them, some strikers, but it primarily Russians. And at that time, I don't think Khabib had the workout partners.
Yeah.
So that's why I came to AKA.
It's crazy, man, because I don't remember exactly when you started, but I want to get back to where you're from in a second. But like when I started, I grew up Texas. You grew up in Texas, right?
Yep.
So I'm a Texas boy too. So I grew up small town Texas. You were like Plano, I think, up by Dallas.
Plano, right by Dallas.
So so I was outside of Houston, but like outside of Houston, like not in Houston. I was like in the small like sticks, so I grew up like small town Texas. But when we grew up, and I'm sure it's the same for you, man, because we're similar in age. I'm obviously older, which makes me feel old. But it's like we had like multiple gyms to train at, or you came from wrestling, obviously that was a great background. But I had to train at three gyms. I didn't have a super gym. I call them super gyms, but I didn't have like a full MMA gym, like an AKA or an ATT or something like that. So it was tough in the beginning, and I think that's what changed the game now is like those teams and these gyms that were formed and after we were kids, and coming up, and they created these monsters that we have now.
So did you start fighting? Because I could reminisce with you. Did you start fighting in Texas? Because
Yeah.
I remember the first guy I cornered, the first time I ever went to a fight and cornered the fighter, I was in college. It was 2000. And me and my boy Jeff Lindsay, the fighter, the time we went down to Houston to fight Yves Edwards.
Okay, my very first pro fight was in 1998, and Yves Edwards was on the card. Yves Edwards was the co-main event, and we won the same way, rear naked choke. But the funny thing was the promoter was so crooked. Not only did he not pay us, but I won by rear naked choke. I did a high kick, and the guy flinched away from the. I wish I had the video, bro, to put on this podcast. It's one of my best moves ever that's never been seen. But I did a high kick, and he took the kick and turned away. It kind of hit him, and he turned away. And when he turned away, he gave us back, but we were standing because I kicked him. I kicked him, obviously. Yeah. I jumped on his back like Superman or something, like a cape. Jumped on his back, put him in a rear naked choke, rode him to the ground, got the choke. Yves went on later on in the co-main event, and they wanted Yves' opponent to win. Yves was brought in to lose, and the opponent was brought in, obviously, to win. Yves knocked this guy out in the fight, and they woke him back up. Yves was celebrating the victory, and they woke this guy back up and made him continue fighting. So it was all this controversy, no, fight's not over. They gave him a standing 8. I don't know what rule they said to bring this guy back up, but he was knocked out. He was down, got up. They had to continue fighting. And then Yves eventually got him in a rear naked choke and beat him. And Travis Lutter fought on that card. Shannon Rich fought on that card. Okay. And it was at a rodeo arena, in the sand. It was a cage on the sand of an old rodeo arena in Humble, Texas. It was in Humble, Texas.
Yeah, Humble. Hey, how come you never fought in the USWF at that time? Because that's where Paul Buentello, Frank Trigg, Ali Elias, Steve Nelson, Alan Amarillo. The USWF is the shoot. Evan Tanner was there.
Yeah. I don't know. I never made it there. My first fight was 98, pro fight. I had 20 amateur fights. I was fighting these shows called the Valet Tudo by Tim Musil was putting them on. And that was Yves Edwards' trainer. So he was doing Valet Tudos. I was doing Dungles from Bushiban. I was doing a lot of these underground type style pancration fights where it's open hand to the face, but you can kick and knee to the face. And then it was no strikes to the face, which sucked for me because I was a grappler fighting Gracie guys trying to take me down. Dude, and when I first started fighting back in Texas before I turned pro, I wore pants. That tells you how old school I was. I thought I was Chuck Norris, dude. In my first MMA fights, I wore red gi pants, and I had no BJJ. It wasn't BJJ pants. It was like Chuck Norris karate pants, dude. That's how I was. Yeah, I was 97, 90, 96, 97. And I had 20-something fights amateur. Then I turned pro in 98. Same card, like I said, with Yves Edwards and stuff. And then I went and tried out for Team AKA in 98 and made the team. And it took me 2 years to save up the money and actually get there and go train. I mean, Javier put AK in the most expensive area on the freaking West Coast. So, it was not easy to be a fighter and live in San Jose.
Man, Jose, definitely not easy.
Yeah.
So expensive out there.
That's crazy. So you grew up in Texas and you were wrestling, and then you were the best in the world for 3 years, right? In your weight class?
Yeah, 84 kilograms. Yeah.
And what happened? Why didn't you end up in the Olympics?
I got upset. Kind of controversial, but I got upset in the Olympic trials, the finals, which is I thought I won, but they gave the other guy points. And then at the Olympics, the guy that won the Olympics, the guy that took third, I beat both of them. The guy that took third, the weight class above me, I beat him too. I had 4 wins over medalists that year.
Wow.
So it is what it is. Hopefully everything happens for a reason. So I think that I come up short in a few things in my life as far as competition, but I feel like I have enough knowledge and enough I have enough knowledge to help the future anybody else that wants to make it to the top. Avoid the pitfalls I made.
Right.
Stay away from injuries. Get the right training partners, because when you first start out, you listen to anybody.
Yeah.
I had guys that helped me out, but at the same time, I got moved way too fast. I was thrown in the wolves.
Yeah. And
it was my choice. I had no idea, but at the same time, when you start fighting, you need to get with the right team. And my thing is that I feel like if I get my hands on any young fighter, I'll relay that to him.
Yeah.
Get with the right team. Get with somebody you can trust. Listen to your body, because one thing as a wrestler, when you're hurt, you're like, push through. You're aching, push through. It doesn't matter. Just keep on going forward. But the thing is, MMA is a calculated marathon. It's calculated. You got to find the right time to sprint, the right time to take a break, the right time to get some water, the right time to coast and stride. You just can't sprint the whole time, because if you sprint, you'll get injured. You won't make it that far. Yeah. You won't make it that long. So you have to be with the right people, the right team, the right people, have the right people you trust around you.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you.
What's up, everybody? I am here in Thailand. This is the first time I've ever been here. Been dying to come here for years. The great Mike Swick. He's one of the big reasons he's been trying to pull me down here. What he built down here, aka Thailand, is incredible. There's people here from all over the world. You can train mixed martial arts here, jiu-jitsu. They have weightlifting, they have cardio, and obviously they have Muay Thai, boxing, everything. I'm telling you guys, I know everybody wants to go to Thailand because Thailand's so cool, but you can't come to Thailand without coming to AKA Thailand. Come on.
So you were wrestling, you were one of the best wrestlers in the world, and then you became an MMA fighter. So what was it that happened that made you make that transition to where you wanted to be not only wrestling people, but punching them and ground and pounding them and being a fighter?
I think I knew I was always going to do something with combat sports. Like growing up, I was like a huge boxing fan. I love boxing. I still do. Boxing is my favorite sport to watch, just because it just intrigues me. And then wrestling, I love watching wrestling. With me, I just liked watching the purity of certain sports. MMA was the combination of it all. You know what I'm saying? But I just knew I was going to end up doing something with combat sports, and it ended up working for me. MMA was there, made some money, had a good time, got a chance to travel the world, meet good people, meet cool people, learn a lot. And I went, I'm glad I went through this. I'm glad I chose MMA as a profession, and it's worked out well for me.
Yeah, and then when you were in MMA, did you have plans at that time to do pro wrestling? Like, were you always thinking ahead of, like, after I get done fighting, I'm going to do pro wrestling, or did that just kind of happen?
Well, in 2008, the WWE offered me a contract. They gave me a contract. I turned it down because I was like, I wanted to not 2008, 2004.
You turned it down?
A contract, and I just stupid. Because I was like, you know what, I want to be a world Olympic champion, and then I'll go to pro wrestling. And I was like, look, I'm gonna win a world Olympic title in amateur wrestling, then go and be like a Kurt Angle type dude. That's what I wanted to do. But
you still got into wrestling, and you did. Are you still doing that now? Yeah. Like you're still doing that. You're signed with the new organization right now.
Yeah, MLW, Major League Wrestling. Like the Matt Riddle wrestles for them, MJF. The Lucha Brothers, they've had a bunch of talent come through there and make it to the next level. So, yeah, I'm going there having fun. Hopefully, I can make something out of it. Get to Japan, headline a few Wrestle Kingdom. I'm gonna make it to Japan, wrestle in Japan, and maybe get to AEW or something like that. That's another goal. I have goals. I want to accomplish them, and then after that, just keep coaching, develop champions.
That's awesome. And what do you think is the major difference between MMA and pro wrestling? Like, as far as the training and the fighting, like, what is the big major difference in your mind?
I think pro wrestling is harder and it's more unsafe, because you have to trust your partner, the person who wrestles. You have to trust them to keep you safe.
Yeah.
In MMA, you don't trust your partner. You just block him. You block him. You take him down. You clinch him. In pro wrestling, there might be a move. They might call for a Hurricane Karana off the top rope into, you know what I'm saying? Or I might do a suicide splash under a group of people. Somebody has to catch me. Somebody has to catch me. If not, I'm hitting the ground. I'm hitting the ground hard and hurting myself. There's certain moves like the DDT, the power driver, power bomb, where the person doing the move has to take care of you. If they don't, they can end up killing you, breaking your neck. Look at Stone Cold Steve Austin. Breaking your back. Anything can happen. You know, they're more. I feel like that you see worse injuries in pro wrestling because it's in a wrestling ring and anything can go kind of compared to MMA because MMA is more of a more controlled sitting.
Yeah. I heard the training is like really hard, like a lot harder than what people think.
Yeah, I remember with Al Snow, we did a 5-hour wrestling practice.
Whoa.
And we went over chops. And you know a chop, like the Ric Flair chop, well, there were 30 people in the group. I went first. I took 29 chops to the chest.
Jeez.
Chops, boots to the face, body slams. And Al Snow was like, hey, 5 hours to go. And I was like, 5 hours? I was like, what? We were there from 8 to 1.
Jeez.
What?
That's crazy. That's crazy, man. Holy shit. I gotta ask you this then. In your opinion, would you say that the training alone, is that harder in MMA or harder in pro wrestling? Like just the actual sessions that you have to do on a daily basis?
It's two different things. See, MMA is more mental and so it's mental and physical because you get gassed out. But in pro wrestling, you have to know certain rules.
Right.
Like when you're in the ring, yeah, you have to know the certain rules of the wrestling. You know what I'm saying? You have to know the rules and the understanding of the wrestling ring. If not, you'll get lost and look stupid. So think about this. You have to be in shape. You have to tell a story. You have to entertain, regardless. Because imagine if me and you wrestled a match, and if they booed us, we did our job.
Yeah.
If they cheered us, we did our job. If no one says anything, we failed dramatically.
Yeah.
So that's another difference. In MMA, you want to be liked or whatever. You just want to win. It doesn't matter how you win. In pro wrestling, you want to entertain. You want to have catchy quotes, certain gimmicks that people can catch on to and be interactive. So like think about this: when The Rock said, "You smell," and everybody's like, they jump in, but The Rock is cooking.
Yeah.
And everybody jumps in, they get hyped up. MMA, they don't have that just yet, but they will eventually. Somebody's gonna figure out a good quote or a good catch line or catchphrase and have the crowd saying it with them.
Yeah.
Once that happens, that will be a bigger star.
Yeah.
A bigger star.
That's true. That's true. When you include the crowd, they appreciate that for sure.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And going back to the fact, just real fast, of all the fights that you have had, I've always wanted to ask you, like, what was the highlight of your career, do you think? And was that the biggest win of your career as well? Or was it two different ones as far as like what your most memorable highlight is as far as memory's sake, and then biggest win?
Honestly, I really don't know. I never thought about it. Like me just having a career is a highlight to me. You know, like
I mean, when you won the Grand Prix, that was pretty big at heavyweight too.
Yeah, I know, but I look at for me, every fight was important because think about this. Think about when you first start fighting. Your first fight is the most important fight of your life. Then your second fight is the most important fight of your life. Then your contender fight is the most important fight of your life. Then your title shot is the most important fight of your life. Then the first defense is the most important fight of your life. Say you lose that fight. Your comeback fight is the most important fight of your life. Let's say you lose the comeback fight. You're down two losses. That fight is the biggest fight of your life.
You're right,
so
man.
All of them, every fight, every day is the biggest day of your life. Every fight is the biggest fight of your life because you're only as big as the last thing you had to deal with.
Yeah, it's funny, people don't realize, but like it's a gradual progression from like where we started into, like I started in Taekwondo, so I was doing like the pads, like the kicks and all that crazy. It's Taekwondo, it ain't quite MMA, but it's crazy when I talk to people because they don't realize, they see you fighting in a cage and they're like, holy shit, you're crazy, that's barbaric, that's unbelievable, but it's a transition. So it's not like I just woke up one day and walked into a cage and started fighting. It's like a slow transition from like when I was doing Taekwondo and I was doing sparring and then competing and then getting into kickboxing and then slowly into boxing and MMA and BJJ. But like you said, man, even when I was competing in Taekwondo as a kid, I was like, dude, those fights were just as important to me at that time as my UFC fights were at that time. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like I had to win that fight, like I had to be, it's crazy, but it's true. I mean, you do feel like every fight is so big and so important, no matter what level and no matter how big of a show it is.
Like, let's say Khabib never got signed to the UFC. Well, he's still defeated. Eventually he gets signed somewhere big. Right. Wherever you want, like if you keep on winning, your wins will lead you to where you need to be. Plain and simple. Even when you're in high school, you win a tournament, and you become you get confidence. You beat a guy that's ranked in the state. You get a ranking in the state tournament. That's big. That's big. It's better to be ranked than unranked. Whenever you accomplish things, that leads you. That creates a stronger path for you in the future.
Right. And what are you doing now? Like you're at ATT in Florida with Den?
Yeah, I'm there. ATT. We have right now this pandemic thing, man. Things are kind of weird, but we're still pushing. Yeah, we're still pushing.
And how is that affecting you, the quarantine, as far as like, are y'all still training full on, or is it like limited, or certain people in the gym, or I don't know what it's like over there right now. I know America's going crazy with this stuff.
Yeah, it's only certain people in the gym, pros that have fights. We train like once a day, twice a day maybe, but it's not. It's like it's weird, man, because it's light right now. Usually we have about 100 fighters in the gym. Right now we have about 30 or 40, which is it's light. It looks different.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, it's a great team, man. They've built a lot of big stars over there. Yeah, and what do you have coming up next? Like, what are you preparing for?
Nothing. I just got let me think. Some fighters come. Marcus, I call him Maluka. We call him Joker. He's the MMA fighter for the UFC that paints his face like Joker when he weighs in.
Yeah.
From Brazil, I call him Coringa. It means Joker in Portuguese. I got him August 1st. We fight Eric Spicely. Then I got Jairzinho Rosenstruck. We got Junior Dos Santos, which is crazy because JDS is a HT fighter, and they're in the same gym training. I see we're all in the same gym training. I see Junior. Junior sees us. Yeah. I coach Junior's cornerman, Shoeface. I coach Shoeface as well. So that's crazy right there. Then August 22nd, Maria Agapova, aka Hot Girl Mashka. She's fighting. She's who she could fight. She fought like 3 weeks ago on the I forgot which card, UFC and at the Annex, and she smashed some poor girl. Oh, it was bad. She got a performance bonus. Yeah. But she smashed this girl, head kicked her, submitted her. Yeah. This girl can fight. She's young, 23 years old. She's a monster. Be on the lookout for her. Then I got Ricky Bandejas actually in 2 weeks. Ricky Bandejas, we're fighting Sergio Pettis, so we're ready for that one too. So it's a busy month coming up, but I'm excited for these guys. Ready to see them make it big, get some big wins, change their lives up. I'm ready for that to happen for these guys.
That's awesome, man. Have you ever went to Thailand or no?
No, but you know what? That's I want to. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna try to set up a trip or something like that. I need to get out there, man.
I want you to come check out the gym, man. We got a nice big gym here.
I know. I definitely. I want to come out there and watch Kape. Boy, hey, congratulations on signing him to the UFC. I really want to watch him train. I love watching him fight. He's a savage. He's a beast. He's gonna be a problem. I just hope that he gets used to the cage, because when you fight in the ring, the cage is way different. But I don't know. I don't really see him having a problem, because he fights in the center of the ring or center of the cage. So he's gonna be good takedown defense, strong, athletic, good power. You don't really get tired.
He's got that charisma. He's got that it factor. And when we train against two walls. It's like in a corner of the room. So he's very used to working off the wall, having that limitation and people trying to take him down off the wall and stuff like that. I think it's going to be fine for him to fight in a cage. But he's gutsy. He's full of action and surprises, and he's flashy. He's got charisma. He spends all of his money on like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, because he grew up and he he didn't have much, man. He didn't I remember the story you told me. He was like, I couldn't even afford a pair of shoes, and I asked my mom for a pair of shoes, and she's like, well, what about your brothers? I can afford one pair. You're going to take the pair of shoes and not give them to your brother. So he remembers those days, man. And he worked hard to get where he's at. And now he buys all the style, all the clothes, all the shoes. He's total flashy, man. It's pretty cool. And I think he's going to be a great addition to the UFC. And he's actually coming to AK headquarters. So he's coming to AK headquarters within the next 2 weeks, and he's going to prepare for his fight. He's fighting on the same card as DC, and I think they just announced his first opponent. I can't think of the guy's name or pronounce it, but so he's already ready to go, and it's in August. I think it's August, so it's a month away. So yeah, it's going to be a good one.
They have a location, because I'll be there too. But where's the location at? Because
Apex.
Is it in Vegas?
It's in Apex, yeah.
Okay, all right, let's go.
But man, when you do come out to Thailand, you got to come to AKA Thailand, man. Let me show you around, and we'll get some training in, share the islands.
I will. Yeah, I definitely come. Man, I definitely, I definitely come down. Phil Baroni talked highly of you, and AKA Jim. Everybody talked. Everybody said something good about y'all. You know what I'm saying? So I need to get out there and check it out.
That's awesome, man. Well, you're always welcome, and it was great catching up with you, man. Like, I haven't talked to you in so long, and I wanted to see what you were up to and what you were doing, and get you on the podcast. And I thank you for doing it so fast and short notice. And I know you're going to Texas today, and you're busy. So, man, I really appreciate you taking the time out to come on the show.
Oh, no problem. And don't forget, I have my boy Brandon Lambert.
Yeah.
He sent you an email.
I got it.
So
I got it. I'm responding to it today. Yep.
All right,
I got
cool,
it.
Cool. Hell yeah.
Like I told you, man, we'll take care of him, man. Don't worry. He'll absolutely love it when he comes here.
All right, cool. That's what's up.
All right, bro. Thank you so much, man. It's good talking to you.
All right, man. Take it easy, bro.
All right, there we have it. King Mo. Great catching up with him. It's been a long time since I talked to him. I think it was, like we said, 2016 when he fought Kape at Ryzen at the World Grand Prix. I had Amir Ali Akbari, who ended up fighting Kape in the same tournament. And things didn't go his way either. Kape is a beast in that tournament. It was crazy, man, because he's so much older than he used to be, but he was just a beast. And King Mo just jumped in there and fought him. And I want to say it was short notice. I don't know if we got that out in the podcast, or I can't remember if he confirmed it was short notice, but I think it was short notice. But I know that he's fought a lot of fights on short notice, and he's always down to fight whoever, whenever. And even though he was at AK, we didn't spend a lot of time together because I was building a gym in Thailand. So I definitely wanted to catch up and see how he's been doing, what he's been doing. And then that Khabib story has always been on my mind because I've always wondered how Khabib got to AKA, and Hov's always said it was from King Mo, but I never exactly knew. So I'm glad we could share that, and you guys could join in on that conversation. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the show. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what you think. If you're listening on the audio platforms, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, you can subscribe there as well. I appreciate all the support. We read the comments. We're very humbled and happy with the growth of the show, and we're trying to put these out as many as we can. I think we're doing at least 2, sometimes 3 a week. It's a lot of work, but we're getting it done. And thank you guys for watching.